These are some tool bits that my buddy Lance Baltzy had ground for me, and I just got them in, and he also sent in this straight edge here. He and I are doing some bartering right here. I picked up these two tool bits off of eBay. These are Rex 95, and they were originally 1¼ inch square tool bits, and I wanted these to fit my shaper lantern holder. So I sent them to Lance, and he ground an 1/8 of an inch off of one side of both of them to make them rectangular in shape. And then I asked him, would he mind go ahead and grinding the end for me on his surface grinder. So that's what he's done. I've got two separate grinds. On this one here, we've got a negative rake on the tool angle there on the cutting side. And in this one here, we've actually got a positive rake there. So more of like a back rake and a side rake there to the tool. But they look good. Lance did a beautiful job on the grinding. I've got to put my the corner radiuses in there the way I want, but there we go, just two nice tool bits. But just the main thing was grinding them the side of it so that we could get it to fit the lantern there. So, and this is just some rust inhibitor that he has put on there. It looks like SP400 if I was to guess. It's kind of waxy feeling. All right, so there's the tool bits, and then what I'm going to do for him, he's got this straight edge here that's also known as like a prism straight edge, raw casting, so it's just raw cast iron, and I'm going to machine all sides of it for him. And then once this is machined, I'm not sure if he's going to scrape this one. I can't remember if this one was for him or for somebody else, but I just know that this is something that he was working on, and he asked me could I help him with, but they end up getting scraped. I just can't remember if it's him that's going to be scraping it in. So I think I'm going to end up making a K&T mill project out of this. I originally thought about going over to the shaper and cutting it on the shaper, but I think I'm going to do it on the mill. I've been kind of thinking about my approach there. So once we get to this, I'll see you down there on the K&T mill. We'll get started cutting in on that. But Lance, thanks for the tool bit grinding. I really appreciate it. This is going to save me a little bit of time and some excellent tool bits that I got for a really good price over off eBay. I want to share with you guys some new shop organization tools that I just got in from Paul Brenniger over at ZTFab. And what these are shelves, hangers for the 50 taper arbors for the milling machine. Sometime back, I believe it was last year maybe, I had saw where Keith Rucker over at Vintage Machinery had got with Paul about making him one of these for his arbors. And ever since then, I had wanted to see about getting one for myself as well. So I contacted Paul and asked him, could he make me a pair of these things to go in my shop, because he does not list these on his website, but he will make them to order. If you guys are interested in these things, you could send him an email, and he'd be glad to work with you on a set that you need for yours. I'm not sure if he planned on putting these into a standard stock item that's on his website or not. And I know that whenever he made them for Keith, I think it was sort of like a test item to see how they work, but they seem to be working fine. And I had him actually make me two of them. This is the standard size for one size arbor right here. And then this one right here, what I had him do was cut these two middle slots wider to fit the larger arbor, which is going to be this guy right here, the 1¼ inch arbors. The running bushings are 2 1/8 diameter right there. So what I had him do was cut these a little bit bigger, so that if I grab an arbor and it's got the running bushing on it like that, that it will fit inside this slot right there. You can see that's about how it's supposed to work, and you just hang it. So you bolt that on the wall, and then you got a proper rack there to hang your long arbors on, which is actually the way that you're supposed to store these things, is in a hanging manner, so that you don't actually bend the arbor shaft on there, the spindle. All right, so we've got, because I got two of those that have the larger, the 1¼ inch size bushings on there, so this will be working for that. And then these are the two standard sizes right there. And then this one right here, of course, they're all the same. And it'll fit this size, which is a 1 inch arbor, but it'll fit these guys right here if you want to. And yeah, it'll fit that guy. and be able to hang. And I've got several of these arbors. I believe I got either 4 or 5 of these arbors, so I wanted to have 2 of them so that I could hang all of my arbors, including some of these 50 taper stub arbors that I've got. I've got a couple of these, and this also will work on this one here. So I'll be able to hang this one just like that on the wall, and get them out of the cabinet from laying over on their side. These I've been standing up on the end like that, so they're just usually just standing up in the cabinet, which works fine until you reach your hand in there to grab one, and then you're bumping into them and knocking things over. So Paul always does a stand-up job on his fabrication. He cuts them out. He's got a CNC plasma, and then he does all this himself. He's a one-man band and breaks them up. He puts a nice finish on them, and they're ready for paint. So this is bare metal right here. And what I like to do with mine, as I did with my past ones that I got from them, I've got the other racks for the welding rods and the grinders, is I like to take them to my local powder coat shop and actually have them powder coated. So that's what I want to do. I wanted to show you what they look like before I take them up there. So we'll go get these things powder coated, and then once I get them back, I plan on mounting them on the wall right over in that area there. I've got to do a little bit of organizing and move some stuff out of the way, but I plan on putting both of them behind the milling machine there on that wall. I've got the pedestal grinder now moved, which I'll show you that, and then we'll mount those on the wall, and we'll have all of our arbors hanging on the wall there. So thank you very much, Paul. These things are beautiful. And also he threw in one of his cool hats there, so thank you for the hat, Paul. I appreciate it. So since getting the Baldor buffer, I've put a little bit of use on it. There's been a few little projects I've done in the last week or so that I've come over and used this wheel to do some polishing and deburring. I'm actually not happy with this wheel. I'm not happy with the quality of the wheel. I'm unhappy with the how firm it is. And this is the medium one. They do have one that's slightly softer than this, but I think I want to just go back to my other wheel, which is this guy right here. All right, so this is the one that I've been using for a while on that other grinder that I got. This is the Scotch-Brite. This is very soft and pliable, and I think it does a better job than the hard wheel. This creates a little bit more bounce on your part if it's not absolutely true. This one's a little bit more forgiving because it's more soft and cushiony. Okay. And it's been well used, but there's a lot of life left in this. And I buy this off of Amazon. I've got this one listed on my Amazon store there. So the other problem that I was having is everything's just way too loose on this thing. Okay, these are the bushings that I got to support the wheels. Okay, 3/4 to 1 inch. There's just too much. There's too much movement in there. Okay, so I couldn't get anything to run true. The wheels are running out. Not only was this one running out, the wire wheel's running out, but we're going to get to that one after this. Right now I'm just getting this side fixed, and then I'm going to do some bushings for over there. All right, so forget these right here. What I did, I made me a bushing, a 3/4 to 1 inch bushing out of some phenolic. This is some good material to make these bushings out of. It's a little bit more forgiving, and you can make it so that, you know, it's got sort of a interference fit without being too tight. You can see that bushing. It's not tight, but it's not loose either. You know, I can't just flick it around on there. So it's fitting the shaft very close. All right. And if I go to put it in this wheel right here, I've got a real nice fit inside that wheel. See? Just pushes right in there. So we've got a really good close fit on the shaft right there. So you shouldn't have, you should have very little run out that way, radial run out. The other thing I wasn't really happy with was the flanges here. These are just cast aluminum flanges, and I went ahead and faced both sides, and I turned the OD to help balance them out some. This one was the worst one. You can see, you know, how uneven it is there. This one was just, the center bore was just way out from the faces and the OD. So I went ahead and faced this side. I wanted to try to get everything as true as I can. All right. we've got everything kind of fixed up about where I need it to be now. You know, and I put it around on that face, and we made sure that side was faced out true as well, because I was pulling it up on there. Everything was kind of binding up. So we got that flange on there, and we're going to put our rotation that way according to the arrow. And see, that wheel pushes on there nicely. You don't have any run out. And then we've got our other flange back up right there we're going to slide on. And then this is a spacer that goes on there as well. I checked it in the lathe. There's really not any run out there. These are just parted off pieces of tubing there. So I'm going to put the spacer on there, and then we'll put the nut on there, and I just draw it up a little bit. Doesn't take very much. All right, we'll go ahead and run it. That's running so much better than when I first put it on there. That thing was just all over the place. And you can see a little bit of run out there. This is not the shaft bent. This is just because the other side is so out of balance as well. And this thing is just sitting on the key seater here, so it's just kind of vibrating around on the rubber feet because of the out of balance of the wheels. But this is night and day difference from what I was getting even with this wheel right here. This wheel was running way out as well because it wasn't centered up. These little cheap stamped bushings, they don't do very good. So it wasn't centering up like it was supposed to on these little bushings. So my recommendation is just machine your own bushings. If you've got these Baldors, check your backup flanges there and see if they're running out, and just tweak everything and try to get it running as true and smooth as you can by doing minor little repairs like that, facing the flanges out, and then make your own bushing. It doesn't have to be phenolic, but the phenolic works really good. You can use nylon, bronze, whatever you want. I just think the phenolic is a little forgiving and allowing a very close fit without it just not going on there because it's too tight. All right, so this is the wheel I like using. I think I'm just going to keep using this Scotch-Brite wheel, and I'll just put this on the shelf and have as a backup for later on. I thought I'd point this out just for anybody watching that may not be aware. This is a Scotch-Brite wheel, so you can use it for polishing, cleaning rust off, and deburring parts. I use this wrench as an example right here. This is one I use to tighten the nut up. If you want to use it to brighten something up, see, it does a really good job right there. And it's soft and pliable, so you can kind of put a little bit of pressure on there and it doesn't feel like it's bouncing off of it. So there you go, just a little example of if you got like parts that you're machining and you've got little burrs on them, you can come over here and real quickly hit them on this wheel right there and knock those burrs off and polish off any kind of like machining marks on them too. All right, I decided to make a modification on the wire wheel side of the new Baldor to what I think may improve it. I have not put this on there yet, but I wanted to go ahead and catch you up to speed. So this has been mounted on there, and whenever I mounted this and the other wheel on there, I was getting a lot of vibration out of it. Okay, the shaft runs nice and true as can be, and then when you mount the wheels on and turn it on, it almost looks like the shaft's bent because there's so much vibration. Need to see about getting it tightened up. It's probably not pulled up square. So this is how these wheels come. This is an 8-inch wire wheel. It comes with a 2-inch bore there. And then you can get these bushings. These are what they call the bushings right here. And they just fit inside that bore. Just pieces of stamped metal, okay? All right, so that's what I had in there. And you can see this one I had actually bent a little bit because when I first installed it, I was trying to pull it up and I couldn't get things figured out, but I finally got it. So anyway, with those mounted in there, right, here's your flange backups, which we just machined those. But even without them machined, whenever these are pulled up like that, they're not even touching this area of the backup flange right here. All right, I mean they're kind of pushing up into this area of the casting, so it's not pulling up square. So I made some my own bushings that I think might work out of a piece of vinyl. But by the way, I did face both of them. I turned the ODs on both of them and faced the backside. You can see how out of square the bore was on these things. So these things are sitting there wobbling and not pulling up square. So these are the nylon bushings that I made. I made me a little sketch right here of what I wanted to do so they match up with the OD of these backup discs right there. 3/4 bore, 2-inch shoulder right here, so like a little 2-inch stub that will fit that wire wheel right there. And I've got them a very close fit. I just pushed it in there like that. So there's no looseness, there's no bouncing around. See? Push that one in there on that side. And as far as the thickness goes, I just wanted to make sure that I made them thick enough so that whenever the flange here, the backup flange is pushing against it, they're not like deflecting and it stays kind of flat. So I made them a total of 5/8 wide. I'm showing you this in case anybody wants to do this. Hopefully this is going to work out. So the step was 5/16, and then the flange thickness was also 5/16 for a total of 5/8 on the total width there. All right, so let's go put this on the grinder and see if it works any better now. All right, let's see, here we go. Let's go ahead and put the backup flanges on right there. There's a little key, that's what the keyway is for, to line that up, keep it from spinning. We'll go ahead and install one of our bushings. Got a nice little press fit in there. Press it in by hand. Fits the shaft nicely. Let's get the other side on there. Everything pushes together right there. All right. Backup flange machined. That's looking good. That looks nice. All right, so we're not going to be able to use our spacer right there. It's just too thick. I could go face that off. Really all I want to do is just put a washer on there. I've got this SAE washer right there for 5/8, so I need to go, I'm going to go to the 6 jaw and just open this up slightly, just so it'll just fit over that thread, and then we'll finish tightening it up. All right, Abby's out here making sure that this is going to work. She just came out here to say hello. Yep. There's the washer that I just bored out to 3/4. And this is our left-hand thread side right there. So we'll go ahead and thread up our nut. And I just hold the shaft by hand and just lightly tighten it. There's really no reason for it to have to be any tighter than that right there. So let me plug it in over here. And let's give it a shot. Nice. A lot better than what it was doing. Boy, that thing was vibrating really bad. So much better. Now, the wheel is running nice and straight. I don't see it, doing this as it's turning. And when you come over here to use it, you're not bouncing around everywhere. That is cool. Here's you a little bit more of a straight on shot. Very nice. So I've got about as much out of it as I can get. The rest of it's going to be in the manufacturing of the wheel. I mean, you can see as it slows down that the OD is actually not running true right there. If I just kind of bump it. So that's where the rest of the run out is going to be, is that right there. But I think hopefully we can just use it like it is and start wearing it in. Maybe it'll true itself up as we come over here and use it. I'm real happy with that. All right, here's a full frontal view of the new Baldor. I like it. So it's going to sit right here for now, and this is a temporary location. I do have plans to make a dedicated pedestal just for this grinder, so that's a project that's on the list. I need to go write it on the whiteboard. I think I got it wrote down already, but it'll work pretty good right here for right now. So I'm happy with how that turned out. You guys might check these on if you've got one of these Baldor buffers and see if maybe yours need to be trimmed, if it's causing you any issues there. But for mine, it helped out quite a bit. All right, so there's that. I wanted to point out I finally got the Queen City pedestal grinder moved over here to this side. As I mentioned in a previous video, we ran a circuit here just for me to hook it in. We've got our circuit for our key seater, and then our electric press right there as well. So we got it sitting over here. I've got it level on the base down there, so it's sitting nice and square, and I'm real happy with it. And just for now, I got me a little clip light up there plugged in, and it works good. You can see it kind of puts a nice light right there over it whenever I'm grinding. But I would like to add me some more of these LEDs along this area right here, just to kind of brighten up the area here where the grinders are going to be. I'd also like to maybe put me 1 or 2 more in this area right in here to kind of help brighten up the area over the welding table. I don't think it looks that bad in the video, but when you're actually here in person, I could use a little bit more light right in there. All right, let's see, what else was I gonna show you? There's the bars that we worked on. This right here is a job that I got to get started on. This is another job for my mom and Fernando. You know, he's always helping me with the electrical, so I got to help them out whenever they're needing a problem. This is for their camper. They have got a 90s something model RV that they use, and every now and then they have to you know, fix something on it. This is the hydraulic pump on it for the hydraulic levelers. You know, I've got that hydraulic cylinder that I repaired you know, a few months back. I've got a video on that, the welded cylinder. Well, whenever he installed that, he was having issues with the hydraulic pump. So he took the motor. This is not the motor, this is one that we're gonna try to adapt right here. Okay, this is the motor right here, United Technologies Automotive, and he took this down to Scambia Electric, the local electric motor shop, to see about getting it rebuilt. And they said that this thing is bad and it can't be rebuilt, is what they said. There's the brushes down there on the end of it. So he hasn't had any luck being able to fix this motor so that he can put it back in the hydraulic pump and get the hydraulics working. The valve body bolts to the top of this right there, and he says there is a ton of lines and wires and everything coming into that, and he'd really like to just be able to put this unit right back on. So all he's got to do is just bolt it in and go. So he's got this hydraulic motor right here to come off of a different pump that he wants to see if I can adapt it to the actual pump right there. So I've got some machining to do. I got some head scratching to do on the machine that's going to be required to make that work. I'm going to have to make a stub shaft that will connect the two together. I've got one in here. This is what was used to drive this guy right there, but this motor right here is what obviously fits in there. It fits a bearing, and then it fits up into, you see you got the 2 flats there, and that's what it looks like up inside. So this is my next project. I'm going to work on this this coming week and hopefully get this one done. And of course I'll take some video and show you how this is going, and I'm sure by that time I'll have it done and somebody will say, hey, I've got one of these sitting around on my shelf, you can have it. But I tell you what, if any of you guys do see this right here and you got one that you know is a direct replacement that works, please email me and let me know, because it wouldn't be bad to have an actual spare for this unit right here, since they said that you can't get this part anymore. They've already tried sourcing it, they can't get it. Something else I wanted to touch on is I had some comments about labeling and marking the cords and the receptacles for the high voltage and low voltage, things like that. And that's what I've been working on. I made a couple comments and said, yes, that's what we've been doing, and we've been marking it in the equipment as well, the lines that are the high voltage. So this one right here goes to the G&E, okay? And it is a, on the 240 volt receptacles and plugs, I use a 30 amp plug, okay? And you can see how that looks. So 30 amp, so I've got it marked on there, I got it marked on the plug. I got these tags on here now too. 480 volt, I've got this one added for the Smith & Mill shaper. More to come on that. I did find out that it's wired for high voltage, so I added a receptacle right there, all right? The 480 volt receptacles and plugs are a 20 amp. So the 20 amp will not fit into that, and then the 240 volt won't fit in that. So you can't interchange them and blow yourself up and burn the shop down. And I know that it's possible, yes, but highly unlikely that I'm gonna do that. But anyway, I thought some of you guys might appreciate that. I've been getting the everything plugged, all the plugs marked. I mean, put a little sticker there, sticker there. I was gonna put some signs up, but all the signs that I found are like ginormous and too big. I got this right here, 480 volt as well, 20 amp receptacle and plug for the Oliver drill pointer. You see we've got our plug marked right there. All right, so this one, that's a dedicated circuit for the Oliver. And then when we come over here to the K&T, because that's kind of where all this started, as I mentioned, this was the main power to feed the motor for the gearbox, 240 volt. All right, we've got it marked. I've got it tagged. 30 amp receptacle, and then here's our 480 volt line right here. 20 amp receptacle, and I've got it marked, and I've got a tag on there as well. All right. The work that Fernando did inside the box is also indicated so that anybody that might come behind me knows what's going on in here. All right, so, but for now, this is how we're gonna operate the mill. We're just gonna have both those plugged in, and that's what's gonna work for me. And I did a job for it this week, and it worked out real good. So far, so good. So I think that's going to be about it for the content I got for you for this week's SNS, and hopefully you enjoyed, and come on back next week and I'll have some more fun stuff to share with you. All right, I'm down here at the powder coat shop, Gulf Coast Powder Coating, also Velocity Restorations, and Cody and the guys got my ZTFab brackets finished up. We got them wrapped up, so I'll just we'll take them out at the house so that you can see what they look like. Cody really hooked me up. This was a one-day turnaround. I brought them down here yesterday, and they finished them up yesterday evening, so I come down here this morning to pick them up. But what I wanted to show you guys, just give you sort of like a little look at their business here. Velocity Restorations, they do full-on restorations of all generations of Bronco, including Scouts, and they work on just about everything though as well. And I talked to Cody about possibly doing a shop tour here, which they're totally open for that. So we might talk about doing or scheduling some kind of shop tour where I can come down here and show you guys what it is they do, because they make some amazing Broncos down here. There's one sitting in the door right there that they're just finishing up. There's a Mustang there, probably one of their customer projects that they're working on. So the powder coating is like a side business that they started because they've been doing powder coating for themselves for a long time for their builds. So they just went ahead and opened it up like a separate business where they take in other customer work as well. So we'll come back down here another time, and I'll give you guys a full shop tour of Velocity, and then show you all of their capabilities here, and show you some of the builds, some of the stuff that they do. It's really amazing the work that they do here on all these old Broncos and Scouts. So let's head on back to the shop for now and check out our new ZTFab racks that's been powder coated. All right, let's cut these bad boys open and take a look, see what they look like in person now. Yeah, that looks awesome. Maybe I'm not unwrapping the way that he wrapped them up. There we go. There's the first one right there. Looks good. Nice even coverage. The ends are covered good. This is sort of a standard color. A lot of people like this color. This is the same color that I put on the ZTFab welding cart as well, and the TIG welding rod brackets. It's a silver vein is what it is, and you can get this vein texture in any kind of color you want, really. They have 6,000 color possibilities for this powder coating. Let's look at the other one. All right, here's the second one, looking good. Nice job. I love having these guys, I mean, they're literally right down the road from me, and I've got good connections with them, so I actually think that I want to utilize their service more often when I have some smaller projects that need to be, say, painted, instead of me worrying about painting, because I hate painting, I hate setting up for painting. I might just see about taking some projects like this down there and just have them, you know, powder coat it. I've got an idea on possibly doing one of my 8-inch reed vices powder coating instead of me painting it. So this is something that I would like to do in a future project, is you know, the vise, and have it powder coated like that. So all right, well, the next time you guys see these, hopefully they're going to be mounted on the wall, and we'll have our arbors hanging on them. And thanks again, Paul over at ZTFab, for making these brackets for me. Be sure to contact Paul if you're interested in some of these or any of his shop organization devices that he makes for the shop there. And looking forward to possibly doing a shop tour down there at Velocity and show you guys what their capabilities of with those Broncos that they build.